And here we go. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Recruiting Ain't Easy podcast. My name is Lewis, and here on Recruiting Ain't Easy, or Team SWARTZ, my job, my goal, my mission is to help you navigate the joining process, making the best choice for yourself, for your reasons and your reasons alone, by providing you high value, up-to-date information throughout the joining process of the United States Army or the military in general. Because by day, my full-time job for about 20 years this month is a recruiter for the New York Army National Guard, conveniently located in Midtown Manhattan. I'm also a part-time drill sergeant at our local recruit sustainment program. But on my free time, like now, in the evenings or whenever I'm free, I create content, again, helping you navigate the joining process and to prepare yourselves both mentally and physically for Army basic training. Now, with that being said, quick little disclaimer: the DoD, the United States Army, the Army National Guard, the Recruiting Retention Command, my state does not endorse, support, or sponsor this channel, okay? I cannot say that clearly enough. Those of you that have been paying attention to the channel, about a month ago, I received an anonymous complaint complaining about my YouTube channel and Instagram. So based on the complaint, it wasn't a formal investigation, but if my command so choose to do one and do their due diligence, which they did, then it could, submit their findings. But I know the rules, I follow them, and you thought you were gonna get rid of me, whoever that hater is. I have one of like 4 ideas of who it could possibly be, but everyone says to me that it's an anonymous complaint. So to the anonymous complainer, so with that being said, if you're here, 2 scoops. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But your boy survived yet another investigation. I think I go through these investigations or inquiries every 2 or 3 years. This will probably be my last one before I finally retire in the next year or 2. But with that being said, stay tuned for that future video talking about my future plans. Because if you were around last summer, I was posting about how I wanted to quit and all that good stuff. So I do have some updates with that as well. So welcome back, everybody. It's been about a month, and I took the opportunity. So I got cleared about 2 weeks ago from the investigation, or unofficial investigation, but your boy needed a little mini break. So that's why I decided, you know what, this is a good time to take a knee, catch my breath, and get back into it. So if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon, and turning on all notifications. You get notified when I post new videos and when I go live. Also, new update, while in the last 30 days, give or take, that I've been quiet on the channel, I reevaluated what my intent is on the channel and what I would like to do. So with that being said, I'm going to be adding some additional things to the channel that I feel will broaden my audience and help out more people. So as of right now, I primarily focus on the joining process and basic training. Now I want to help recruiters recruit and create content on YouTube like I do, but as a recruiter. All right, this is my personal page. Again, I do this for fun. I don't actively recruit on here. But with that being said, I'm also going to be doing interviews in the form of a podcast, and I actually have my very first podcast, major podcast, dropping tomorrow, where I interview 2 Special Forces recruiters, and one of them is still actively serving as an operator, which means that his face is going to be blurred out. His voice is slightly altered for OPSEC and privacy reasons. And the other, they're both recruiting, so they're going to address some of the eligibility standards and some of the commonly asked questions and things that you probably weren't even thinking of. So definitely well worth the watch. And I'm definitely interested in hearing your feedback after that podcast. So I am back. I'm going to go full force. My intent is to post a new video every single week like I was. I just realized that my last regular video that I posted, like a normal pre-recorded video, was like 7+ months ago. So I'm going to do better this year, at least moving forward. All right. And if I slip up, let me know. Be like, yo, where's our video? I'm gonna get back to weekly live streams. I'm gonna be gone for a couple weeks while I'm on vacation in August. But other than that, I should be back on a weekly basis for the live stream. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like button in case you haven't already done so. And go through my little quick things. If you post a comment that's attached to a super chat or a super thanks, I will not immediately, but as soon as I'm done delivering my point for the previous question, I will immediately go to you, highlight your question or whatever on the screen, and deal with that right away. So I appreciate you again. And yeah, so I'm gonna work my way from the oldest comments, working my way up to the most recent comments. I don't even know where my phone is. Shoot. Yeah, I was running a little behind. Uno momento. Hold that thought. All right, I'm back. Can you guys still see me on the screen? Because it looks like I'm frozen on my screen. So I just want to make sure we're good. But going on to the first question of the evening, it says, yes, here says, here we go. Hashtag Team Swords, getting recruited out of Nashville soon. I'm waiting for my RE3 approval, which is a waiver, and asthma, which will be approved easy. Yes, the asthma will definitely get approved pretty easily. It says I retake the ASVAB for fun. All right, cool. Good luck on your RE3 waiver. Let me know how that goes next week or whenever that gets approved. And Nashville, I wonder who your recruiter is. I know a couple of people down there. We got Luis Rodriguez with the hashtag Team Swartz. Hope all is well. Question, currently in the hiring investigation process for the New York Hospital Police Department. Still want to enlist. Should I finish the police academy and probation period? Probation period, I'm not worried about, and you don't have to worry about that either, but I would wait until you're done with the academy if you're starting that right away. And once you're done with the academy, then we can talk about the enlistment process, because they can't tell you no during the probation period. All right, you're protected by federal law, so you're good there. Gregory Hussey says, why doesn't the military don't want anyone that has a speech impediment? Primarily, I mean, I don't write the rules or regulations or anything, but I would probably say it's safe to assume that when you're using the radio, you have to be able to clearly and concisely and succinctly speak on the radio without messing up, without confusing the other person on the other end, if that makes sense. So that's probably what it is. What I would suggest is maybe get with a speech therapist and see if there's any way that you can teach yourself to speak normally without the impediment, if that makes sense. If that's even a possibility. Not really sure. But that would be your best and probably your only bet. If you've already done the waiver and they denied it, yeah, that's what I would do then. If it was worth it to you. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I'm pretty sure that's probably going to take like a year or two to get down to where, with a lot of intent and effort, to get yourself to the point where you can speak normally without the speech impediment. Sorry, I'm just trying to log on to my my live stream on my cell phone so I can see the super chats and stuff if they come in. Not that I'm asking for them, but if they do, I want to make sure that I'm on top of it and that they get the recognition that they deserve. So let me put this right here real quick. See, I should have thought about this sooner. Anyway, so I'll keep looking at that. So with that being said, yes, if I could do it over again, Luis Rodriguez, I would have stayed. Not that I don't love recruiting or being full-time in the Army. I do love it. But if I could go back in time, I would have looked for another city, state, or federal job and worked both of these careers at the same time and simultaneously earned a retirement and benefits and all that good stuff, and then worked towards a third career at the end of that and did something until like I was 60. But yeah, I decided to stick it out full-time with us, which is not a bad thing, but I just think that financially in retirement, I think it would have been more beneficial if I had stayed part-time and did something full-time with the government in some capacity. Mr. Fusion said, did you really get free time during deployments? I've never been deployed, but yes, people do have some free time when they're off and not on the clock. Obviously, each mission has their responsibilities and protocol and SOPs, standard operating procedures. But yes, you do get some free time. Not like do whatever you want free time, but you know, you're basically on call even on your off time. All right, I do plan on bringing somebody onto the channel who has been deployed multiple times between a rotation where nothing really goes on, like Kuwait, versus someone who was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, so they can talk about their experience. Obviously not violating NDAs or OPSEC and stuff like that. All right, but yeah. Xavier Butler, I'm back. It's been so long. Hashtag Team Swortz. Hell yeah. You're back? I'm back. I took like a whole month off, man. But welcome back, Xavier. Appreciate you. And thank you so much for that hashtag Team Swortz. Yes, here says, welcome back, Xavier. They're talking to each other. Ooh, we got Giuseppe De Rosa with the hashtag Team Swortz. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Same thing with M Lightning. And Giuseppe De Rosa says, is Team Swortz officially back now? Yes, I am. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. And Oli says, what's up with the Army not letting people out this year? I was going to leave in about a month, but the day before I swore in, they decided they no longer letting in people ship out. We're going. I am so confused. Let me read this slowly. Sorry. What's up? Why is the Army not letting people ship out this year? Okay. So you're in and you're trying to ship out this year. I was going to leave in about a month, but the day before I swore in, they decided they're no longer letting people ship out. I'm going December 30th. I hate winter. Oh, okay. So it sounds like you contracted, but the earliest ship date they had was December 30th. All right. So in case you're not tracking this or aware of this, the summer months are primarily locked off for high school juniors, which are split option training soldiers. So basically they do their basic training with a mandatory return date to be back in time for the fall semester, and probably some college students that at the time of enlistment, it worked out in their favor where they could do basic training during the summer, attend their fall semester, and then go to basic training in January. But in your case, it sounds like you're joining, or you joined, and you're doing through training, meaning basic training and AIT or OSA back to back. And with that being said, I'm not sure which component of the Army you joined, but for anyone else who's about to post a comment, make sure you let me know what branch of service or component of the Army you're going into to help me respond to this. So if you're in the Guard, I know that we can request an earlier ship date. So on a weekly, bi-monthly basis, our guidance counselors log into the system and they look for earlier ship dates. But be careful what you wish for, because sometimes it could be like a couple days to a week after they log in and see that there's an earlier ship date. So when you say as soon as possible or earlier ship date, it's the next available ship date. So be careful what you wish for, because you could be, let's say it's Monday and they log in and check it. Well, guess what? You're leaving Friday. All right. We can always shift up, but it's more challenging or way more difficult, not as easily approved to push your ship date back further. So earlier, no problem. People get injured, people get in trouble, people don't ship, people just whatever. So ship dates do become available. And when they do become available and they change your ship date, be ready to rock and roll. There's no, oh, I need more time. Nope. You ask for an earlier ship date. You're in there like swimwear. You're shipping out on this day. All right. Just FYI. Giuseppe says Team Swortz should get a $70,000 bonus for all that. I wish. Yasir said something else. IDs says, hey, I watched your streams while I was deciding whether to join. Been in the Army now for a few years and a half. So I guess that's 3.5 years. Thanks for the help. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to help you out in some small way. And honestly, I appreciate you're still around. So thank you, IDs or IDs. So we got Pep says, question, would you say standards for the United States Army has gotten lower or higher? I would say that the standards for joining the Army or the military is I'm going to say that it's not lower or higher. I'm going to say it's the same. And when I say standards are the same, I mean that the requirements to join are still the same. They have not changed. Now, have we created programs to assist people to get to the normal eligibility standards? Yeah, of course. And I'm not against that. I've been preaching that for years. Like myself, I've been at a school, I'm a lot older, but let's say even at like 25 to 30, you know, like math is one of those skills that if you use it, you lose it, and you do need to study. And people have, you know, life will be lifing. You work, maybe you go to college, and you got a lot on your plate. Maybe you become a parent, maybe not, who knows? Like life will always life. And people are busy, and people forget what they learn in school. And I am not a huge advocate for college unless your career path requires it. To me, college is a business. They don't factor in, are you physically and mentally capable to perform that type of a career? For example, let's say you're in a wheelchair, or you got a gimp because you got a messed up leg, and you're disabled, whatever. I'm just as an example, right? And you go to college and you're like, hey, I want to become a law enforcement officer. I want to get a criminal justice degree. Cool. College is like, say less. I got you. Sign up right here. You're good to go. You get your degree in criminal justice, and then you find out from the law enforcement recruiter that you cannot be a law enforcement officer because you're not physically able to conduct the duties as a street or foot police officer. Right? You could work something else within the police field, like maybe as a, what do they call those? Not an operator, whatever. The people that are on the phone that receive the calls, right? Or some administrative task within the precinct or something, right? But in the military, we make sure that you have the aptitude and the physical capabilities to perform all duties. We're not an equal opportunity employer when joining, but once you're in, opportunities are equal, if that makes sense. But to go back to your question, have they gotten lower or higher? People may perceive the standards being lower because of the 09 Mike program or the Cat 4 program or the Flurry program. But more recently, let's talk about the 09 Mike program. At least we have a program. For a while there, the Navy was bringing people in with a score of a 10, and they didn't have a program. They now have a program. Back in April, I believe, of this year or last year, they started their own version of the 09 Mike program. And again, yes, you're allowed to sign a contract to go through the 09 Mike program as an unqualified applicant, with the sole purpose of going through that program to lose weight and or improve your ASAP scores. Does it suck that the government has to spend extra money and time to get you to the point where you're qualified? And they have like a 98% graduation rate, between 86 and 98% graduation rate, which is phenomenal in my opinion, right? And because people life will life, people don't have the discipline or the knowledge and the means to get themselves to the body fat percentage they need, or to get the aptitude they need to be able to pass a test and qualify for jobs. So this program offers people the opportunity to get themselves eligible to meet the normal eligibility standards to join the military. So by the conclusion of that course, 98% of them who don't quit make it, and they can move on to the rest of the Army career as a normal person. And there are other things that the Army has improved over the years, right? We have the SHARP program, we have the EO program, suicide prevention program. And now that Genesis has been out for 3+ years, I wouldn't say that the standards have lowered, but Genesis exposed applicants and recruiters alike. And what I mean by that is Genesis, if you're not familiar with MHS Genesis, it affords DoD, Department of Defense, the ability to, one, catch up with the rest of the medical across the country in the tail end of the 21st century, where everything is digitized and you have your My Charts and everything's uploaded online and it's at your fingertips. Like, you no longer have to go to the office to request your record. It's right there in your My Chart. The Army has now integrated that into the United States Army, or into the military. And as a result, Genesis at first halted so many applicants from processing because, as you are probably aware, if you're not, diagnoses for ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety are pretty well common. Prior to MHS Genesis, a lot of applicants would find out that they're not qualified, no waivers authorized, and maybe sometimes recruiters would be like, don't say nothing, or they would be told no by a recruiter that you're not qualified, and then they go find another recruiter and then not disclose it to that recruiter and get in. And that was like the workaround behind it. Now Genesis exposes that and creates a truer picture of the quality of applicants joining the military, meaning that prior to MHS Genesis, DoD, Department of Defense, had no idea that so many people were diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety from their past. And when they were now processing, they have visibility of your electronic medical records, and they could see that this is a big problem. So yes, they had to make adjustments, some much needed adjustments and exceptions to the policy. And I think that as we progress further, some of those will be loosened up even further. So overall, I would probably say that the answer to your question is they have not lowered or hired them. I just think that they're evening out the playing field and helping people get to where they need to be. Because I know that as a full-time parent, full-time worker, it's challenging to, and like PT, physical training on my part is on me. And time management is huge, right? Life with life, right? It's tough when you, especially if you got like a family, full-time job, hobbies like YouTube, right? You got to carve out some time in the day. Not everybody's disciplined to get that stuff done. This program, 09 Mike, phenomenal, love it, hands down, best program ever. Hope it never goes away. And yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. I know I went down a rabbit hole on this, but I hate when people are like, oh, the Army is lowering the standards. No, they're not. I just think that they're bending the rules a little bit to help people, because I have so many more things I could share about that, but I don't want to be here forever, so I'm gonna move on. But great question, love it. Thank you so much, Pep. Appreciate you. Is my camera still frozen? Before I move on, I want to know, because I might have to refresh the page and come back in. Yes, it's still frozen. All right. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to refresh the page and get back in here. All right. We should be good now. Let me know now. Hooah! All right, let me know if you can see me on screen. I'll be like Verizon. Can you see me now? Alrighty then. How many fingers am I holding up? All right, perfect. Hooah. That's what I'm talking about. Hooah freaking Luya. Let's go. All right, so let me log back up. Now you can see my pretty face, right? 2 fingers. Thanks, Stay Lifted. Appreciate you. Thanks for humoring me. All right, so going back to... Could you guys at least hear me last time, or should I go over the questions again? Okay, good. So at least you could hear me. So I guess it was like a audio podcast instead of a visible video podcast. All right, so I'm just scrolling back up to where I was. All right, so we're at Big Pen. Question is keto or low carb the best diet to lose weight quick? Yes, in my opinion, and I'm not a personal trainer, doctor, physician, dietitian, nutritionist, or anything like that, but I did do a video you might want to check out, and it's right here. Coming at you into the chat box now. It should be linked down below as well. But yes, in my personal opinion, as long as you can remain disciplined and not eat any real carbs, following a ketogenic low carb diet and being in a caloric deficit, along with intermittent fasting, is like the fat will melt off of you. In 4 months, in 2.5 months, I lost over 25 pounds. By the end of the 4 months, I had lost 32 pounds. Very effective. The only problem is I love carbs. So once I hit my goal weight, I did get complacent and I gained it all back. But seriously, it's very, very effective. All right. And yeah. Carson Grover says, I graduated 2 weeks ago this Friday from Fort Leonard Wood. I'm joining the cavalry in August. Washington Army National Guard. Hell yeah. Congratulations. Good luck in the next chapter of your Army career. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming back and letting us know. And I do recognize your, not your name, but I do recognize your profile picture. Welcome back. Appreciate you. And good luck in the next chapter of your Army career. It's Gregory. I had a friend who made it up to sergeant with a pretty big stutter. Yes, if you can get past the MEPS, right? I enlisted somebody. I'll never forget him. His last name was Peggy. P-E-G-U-Y. He had a speech impediment, and he made it work. He made it all the way up to sergeant. Last time I heard from him, he was a sergeant before he got out of the Army. But yeah, it is a possibility, but it really depends on how picky your MEPS is. Fitness Bro, what is the best age to enlist? As soon as possible. As soon as possible. I joined when I was 19 years old as a senior in high school. If I had known better, not known better, but if I had known that the National Guard existed at that time and that there was a split training option, I so definitely would have loved to have participated in the split training option. But yeah. It's just my only thing with that is when it comes to age, if you're under, say, 23, 24 years old, then I want you to join the Army National Guard or the Army or in the military in general in a combat support MOS. The reason why I say combat support is I want you to learn a real trade or a real skill that is transferable and translatable to the civilian sector, to give you additional training and experience that you can put on a resume to market yourself better and to land a better paying job, because if you're especially going to reserve a guard, this is part-time and I want to set yourself up for success, right? By being in the Army, we're going to force feed you discipline, right? And hopefully motivate you and inspire you to be a better version of yourself and to continue to do so when you get done with your initial entry training. With that being said, by being a soldier, the perception while going before a hiring board is that you're honest, you're a hard worker, team player, right? Disciplined, respectful, like pretty much all the Army values, right? They could teach you the skills and stuff like that, but they want to know, are you coachable, teachable? And you're going to be reliable, dependable, show up on time, right? Be punctual and have all the great qualities that they're looking for. And yeah, and by being in the military, it's going to mature you real quick and expose you to things that you probably are not going to otherwise experience ever or as soon as when you join the military, like being away from your family, learning how to adapt and adjust, dealing with stress, and being resilient when it's hard to be resilient, right? Yeah. So, and then if you're over 23, 24 years old, maybe like 25 and above, then I say that when you're joining, then I would say, as long as you're happy with your job and you can sustain your bills, or if better yet, if you have a career already established, then if you want to do a combat job just to have fun and shoot them up and blow things up, stuff like that, and you want to do combat arms, by all means, go ahead, because you've already established yourself outside of the military. Or, you know, maybe learn a new skill, right? I literally sometimes have doctors, lawyers, people that are like not necessarily CEO level, but, you know, owners of businesses and higher up there on the rank structure of that civilian entity. And they just want to come and blow things up and have fun, right? Because they have so much responsibility and stresses at work that they just want to de-stress and just not have a leadership-like responsibility, and they just want to have fun, like get away for the weekend and have fun, basically, right? And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Xavier says, and I'm no longer a PFC, got promoted to specialist on Monday. Hua freaking Luya, congratulations. That's what I'm talking about. Specialist Butler. Autonomous. How would you recommend training to the max the planks for the ACFT? Also, thanks for the videos, because I am going into the Army as an E3. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. So with that being said, how would I train for the plank? Plank, right? and don't just do the forward plank. Reverse it, right? Do side planks, reverse planks. I would even put like a weight on your hips and do hip thrusts. So lie down on your back, or put your upper back on a bench, put some weight, maybe a dumbbell or a couple dumbbells or a straight barbell or something like that, and do some glute bridges or hip thrusts, right? Squeeze the glutes at the top, and again, planking on the sides and in the front. Another thing you could do is kettlebell training or dumbbell training, like a suitcase carry, right? So when you do like a suitcase or a farmer's carry, instead of doing a farmer's carry like you do during the Army Combat Fitness test, where you go down and back with 2 kettlebells in either hand, just pick up 1 kettlebell or 1 dumbbell and walk the same distance and repeat that multiple times. Not only will that help you with the sprint drag carry, but by only having one side holding the weight, forces your core to fire up and activate and keep your core nice and tight to keep you nice and straight and upright, right? So if you have 2 weights, it's even, so you just have to hold the weight up. But if you take 1 weight off and you only have weight on this side, you have to lean this way and activate your core to keep you nice and tight. So hopefully that makes sense. That's what I would do. A single arm, what we call like a briefcase carry, right? It's a briefcase farmer's carry, just one hand, I guess. I'm making up the term or phrase, but that's what I'm talking about. All right, we got Michael Duncan with the glad you're back. Appreciate that. I am E2 now, PV2. I'll be making PFC this fall. That's what I'm talking about. Fernie says, question, how simple is it to become an officer in the United States Army? All right, so I'm going to drop a video for you to peep at when we're off this. So I'm not sure if you're in the regular Army, Reserve, or Guard, but all 3 of us have the ability to do the Federal OCS program. The Federal OCS program is 12 weeks conducted at Fort Moore, formerly known as Fort Benning. And that's where you'll be for 12 weeks to go through the OCS process. So upon successfully completing that within the next year and a half or less, you will be completing your basic officer leadership course, which is kind of like the AIT enlisted version of your MOS. But as an officer, you don't get an MOS or a job skill. You learn that particular field as a branch. So whatever they branch you as, whether it's infantry, signal support, human resources, transportation, so on and so forth, that's going to be like your MOS type training, but as an officer leadership training type thing. All right. I'm trying to keep it as civilian terms as I possibly can. ROTC is 2 to 4 years, depending on when you start. You need at least 2 years, whether it's your junior and senior year, your undergrad, or your master's program. It's got to be a 2-year program, all right, to commission as an officer through ROTC. All right. And yeah, And if you go guard, let's say the age cutoff is like around 32 to 34 years old for federal OCS. To go state OCS with the Army National Guard, the age cutoff is like around 42 to 44 years old. But my video has all the eligibility standards right there. So definitely go check that out. And it's not, I mean, I don't know what you mean by like, is it simple? Like you have to meet the eligibility requirements, be a U.S. citizen, qualify for a secret clearance, pretty much have no negative financial issues in your past, minimal to no law violations, and GT line score of a 110 or better, and obviously having a 4-year degree. All right, good luck to you. Oli says, I am a college student though. I am Florida Army National Guard. Outstanding. Carson Grover says, I don't understand much about OCS, honestly, but I do know you have to put in a pack and get accepted. It's competitive. If you're going regular Army and Reserve, it is competitive. Based on my experience as a recruiter in the New York Army National Guard, as long as you can hold a conversation, so in 20 years of recruiting, I've only had one person denied. And it wasn't because they weren't a good fit or a good candidate. It was because his accent was so thick that it was hard to understand him, and it was hard for him to understand us. So it was a language issue. So as long as you can hold the conversation and you meet the criteria, you can go guard. So if you're denied for some reason in Reserve, go guard. But if you want to go full-time regular Army, hey, it is competitive. That I know. Carson, I think that's an excellent idea. Definitely do ROTC if you want to go officer route, because at least that way you don't need a commander's recommendation letter to go ROTC, to my knowledge. Giuseppe De Rosa says, based on your experience, would you say being a drill sergeant is harder in the summer than in the winter because of all the high schoolers and split option probably aren't as important? It's not that it's harder or anything. It's just it's more annoying than anything to be a drill sergeant in the summertime. But if you're on the trail as a drill sergeant, you can be there all 4 seasons. All 4 seasons. It doesn't matter. So it's not like you can pick and choose what season you could be a drill sergeant. Hopefully that makes sense. Nabil says, currently processing with the Army. What are the chances that I get spiff done? So a spiff change from one branch of the service to the other, or one component of the other from, let's say, guard to reserve or regular Army. Once you submit it, like I could submit it today, but the guidance counselor won't submit it until tomorrow, maybe if it's past 11 o'clock in the morning, and then it'll be processed at midnight. And then the next day. So within 72 hours or less, the spiff change will take an effect, and your new recruiter will have access to your MEPS data. Carlos Curry says, joining the Army at 30 years old. I leave in August. Thank you for your videos. You're very welcome. Good luck. Have fun. Keep your head down. Do what you're told. Make the best of the opportunity and have fun. All right. Owen says, will a dual citizen, such as myself, have any issues enlisting the Army or Air Force as infantry? I am dual citizen with Canada, NATO ally. From my understanding, it's country contingent, and Canada is not going to be one of those countries that we're concerned about. And normally speaking, you can be a dual citizen while serving until you go into a position that requires a secret clearance or higher. And depending on the country, then they will require you to renounce your foreign citizenship. But as infantry, that should not be the case, especially with Canada. Yassir says, last Monday I visited Staff Sergeant Locklear in that place, but the process felt a bit off. The same Thursday I visited Staff Sergeant Guillen. What do you mean by off? Code 3 Do Stuff says, I failed the ASVAB test yesterday. I'm pretty sad about that, but I know now I need to study more. Yes. Now you know. And I got some, what do you call it? I got 3 videos for you to watch and 2 ASVAB themed YouTube channels that you should definitely check out. So the first 3 videos are a quiz video. So you need to pause the videos, like I said in the chat, and then try to figure it out yourself. And then he's got linked videos down in the description area for you to check out. Did I freeze again? Frozen again. All right, coming right back. Coming right back. Hold on. Hold your britches. All right, so I should be good now. And I think what the problem is my bandwidth is competing with the video that I'm uploading to YouTube right now. My 2-hour podcast with the Special Forces soldiers is currently being uploaded to YouTube as we speak to be posted by tomorrow morning. But with that being said, hopefully this works for now. And I gotta find out where I was. Dang it. All right, so everybody, if you posted your comment before Atheists Arise, do me a favor, repost your comment, because once I log back in, I can't go before this comment. It won't let me go. So I apologize. Technical difficulties on my end. Lesson learned. Don't upload a video the same day that you're about to go live. All right, so Atheists Arise says, do waivers for self-harm scars? Yes, there are waivers for that. You got to follow these tips here for the best possible outcome. Good luck on your waiver. It is possible. Follow those tips and you'll be good to go. All right. JG says, working with multiple recruiters about what's the best route for me as prior service. Special Forces is the goal, but what route to take is the question. When when you say what route, what do you mean by like what route as a prior service member? Are you going active or are you going guard? Let me know. I'm gonna try to pay attention to it on my cell phone screen over here. JG says, prior service 12 years, 74 Delta, but trained with the infantrymen and was thinking of reclassing to 11 Bravo, then going try 1 with the Colorado National Guard. Funny, you say this. I actually did, my podcast is posting tomorrow. I don't know if you're still here. Hopefully you are. But JG, I actually did a podcast with 2 of your recruiters from Colorado Army National Guard. So yeah, I actually asked that question in the podcast. So listen to that response straight from the horse's mouth. And one of them is currently still serving as an operator. Joe Sell says, how can I move up being a Green Beret in the United States Army? First, you got to be a U.S. citizen, GT line score of 100 or better. Best case scenario, U.S. citizen, but supposedly you could be an immigrant with a green card, and you could possibly go that way. There's conflicting information because the Colorado Army National Guard was pretty much telling me that it kind of depends if they're prior service or not, but the website and this mom that I got, which I got to send them, doesn't say that. And one of my recruits who was in basic training is a green card holder. They offered him Special Forces. And he too was a green card holder in the National Guard. So I don't know. But start with the Colorado Army National Guard. Point of contact that will be posting by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow or Friday morning. Probably Friday morning because tomorrow's 4th of July and people are going to be, I don't know, maybe I'll still post it tomorrow. We'll see. So Akira Gibson says 09 Mike versus RSP. Well, they're two different programs. Your 09 Mike is designed to help you lose body fat and to improve your test scores on the ASVAB. The RSP, the Recruit Sustainment Program, has nothing to do with losing body fat or anything ASVAB related. The RSP is a requirement, and it's mandatory to attend your weekend drills in the RSP until you ship out to basic training or OSUTs. So yeah, two different programs, so you can't really compare those. I'm not really following your question unless you want to resubmit, because I'm not understanding, because they're not even in the same area, if that makes sense. Aquin Sony said, is the ASVAB hard? That's going to be dependent on how much of your 10th grade level math and English that you know. And in my opinion, I don't know what 10th grader is using some of the vocabulary words that are on the ASVAB test. And those of you who have taken the ASVAB, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so as long as you paid attention in school and you retained the information you learned, it should be easy. If not, then it could be a huge task for you to complete. JG says, if anyone didn't know, confirm that GT score is 100, not 110. Yes, that was an update that came out a few months back. I actually did a video on it. Jose Lopez says, please continue to make videos. You haven't posted anything in 7 months. You have helped me beyond belief with the videos you have already have listed. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm actually starting this week, and the video will go live. I haven't decided, tomorrow or Friday. Let me know in the comments. You want my podcast with the Special Forces recruiters to drop tomorrow or Friday morning? Let me know, and I'll decide. Jose with the hashtag Team SWARTZ. Appreciate that. JG says, if you're doing a workout in the morning and afternoon, eat 5 times a day. Carson, you're very welcome. Lens Delva says, I have MEPS on Monday. Indecisive between 3 or 6 year contract. ADOS job offers BAH. So yeah, anytime you're on orders for more than 3 months and you're otherwise eligible for BAH, you'll get BAH. You don't get BAH just because you're active. You have to have a lease or dependents or a mortgage. So my opinion on 3 year or 6 year contracts is, if you're going active, I'm always a huge advocate to do the minimum contractual obligation period, because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know if you're going to like it or not. And if you don't like it, you're stuck there for however long your contract is full time. Unlike a civilian job where you can submit a 2-week notice and resign and leave and be like, see ya, deuces. Unfortunately, when you go into the military, there is no such thing as I quit. All right. There's no 2-week notice, especially if you're active duty. And I actually saw something I need and want to follow up on. So I'm gonna save that for a future video, because it has to do with warrants being issued out to soldiers that, I guess, from the way I read the post and understood it, was for those who went to MEPS, went to the hotel, but never made it to the training site because they got cold feet and left. Allegedly, what was being claimed in the post I saw on the Recruiter Times Facebook page today, somebody who works as an investigator has noticed that precincts and state police are receiving warrants for people who contracted and was on their way to the training site and just never made it. Like, the way I understood it, the way it was expressed, it sounds like they went to MEPS and they went to the airport and they just never made it. Those are the people that are being targeted with warrants. But my argument would be, is if I'm living my life, and they're going back like 3 years ago, according to the post. But the thing is, like, if you go AWOL the day that you're shipping, you get and receive a discharge document. So how could a warrant be issued for somebody who's no longer part of the military because they've been discharged? Now, I can see a warrant being issued if you went to MEPS, you redid your oath, and you're shipping out to basic training. Like, you've already began the process by swearing in and shipping out of MEPS. Now you're considered on active duty, and you're considered absent without leave, or AWOL. I could see a warrant for that. But again, for everybody that didn't make it to the training site, like, they've been discharged. So I have to dig into that. That's going to be a very, very interesting story. Maybe I'll do a reaction video to that story and post it at a later date. But that's something I'm looking into right now because I think that's very, very important, especially for people that are uncertain about leaving. But anyway, yeah, back to your question before I went down that rabbit hole. I think unless you're doing it 6 years for a specific reason, like an incentive, like a bonus, student loan repayment program, or something college related, do the minimum contractual obligation. And again, when you go ADOS or AGR or any other full-time opportunity, BAH is BAH. BAH is your basic allowance for housing, which is the Army's way of giving you money to pay for rent or your mortgage, up to whatever that rate is based on the cost of living at your area. All right. I'll put the calculator here if you want to check it out for yourself. But yeah. So when you're going on federal active duty orders, it's based on your home of record. But if you're on AGR or state active duty, it's your duty station zip code. Yeah, that makes more sense with the two snacks in between, JG. South Jersey Artisan, what's up, my guy? Missed you, man. The legend is back. I wouldn't consider myself a legend, but I appreciate it, man. Much love. Appreciate you coming back in. Not sure if you're still here, but JG says split training is bullshit if you go reserve. Don't do split training. Did it, got stuck with the reserves packets to go active, got lost, and never went up the ladder. I'm kind of confused, JG. You did the reserves, and your packets to go active got lost, or never went up the ladder, meaning your chain of command. That's not a reason not to do split training option. You know, everyone's reasonings for joining is not yours, and you're not everyone, so you can't speak for everyone. But setting aside, because that could be a problem for some, where the packets aren't being pushed or they don't want to release you, because honestly, they don't have to release you. By regulation, it's your commander's discretion. And if you go guard, then it's up to the adjutant general to decide. But with that being said, they don't have to release you. Now, JG, I'm not sure if it was you, but there was somebody else talking about in a similar fashion about split training option. And the person said they had done like something like 10 or 12 years in the Army. I'm not sure if it was you. So I'll put it to this way. If you're in the Guard or Reserve and you're trying to do a conditional release and you're not hearing something back, one, I have a video for you and you can check that out. But at the end of the day, if they deny your request, at the end of your contract, here's a really cool thing you can do. You don't have to re-enlist or extend your contract. Like, you could literally get out and come right back in and go through a regular Army recruiter or an active duty recruiter. You're not stuck in the reserve or the Guard. Like, yeah, they could deny your request. They could. By regulation, they're authorized to. But if this is a career for you and you know you're going to be in it for the long haul and you can, well, you have no choice to stick it out, but stick it out to the end of your current part-time contract, and 60 days out, start talking to an active duty recruiter, fill out the application, give them all the documents they're looking for, prepare yourself by getting your PHA, your physical health assessment, and go active. Like, it's not that hard. it can be challenging depending on what state you're in and the climate of the military at the time that you're applying for a conditional release. But my video talks about that, and I talk about and give you tips on how do I say this? Articulate a financial hardship, which is one of the reasons why you want to go active duty. But yeah, definitely check out the video. It'll go over it for you. But no offense to you, JG. Like, I'm not saying it's you, but I hate when people make statements like that and they don't give a constructive why. It's just like a statement or an opinion without giving us context to why you're saying that. And the audience, like, I don't know everything. And how do I say this? I want people to make an informed decision. I'm fine with you and anyone else stating their opinion on something, but give context to where you're coming from so that if the shoe fits for someone, it's constructive and it could assist them in making a better decision, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Aquin Sony says, do you have to have a bachelor's degree to enlist as a cyber or IT MOS? No, it is not a requirement, but if you're going to commission as an officer and you have a degree in that area and that's the field that you want to get into, then having a cyber degree or IT is definitely going to significantly impact their decision-making process and putting you into that branch. Now, as an enlisted soldier, it is not a requirement. All right, 17 Charlie is cyber, 25 Bravo is your IT, and none of which requires a cyber degree. Is it good to have? Absolutely, but not required on the enlisted side. JG also says, that Oli says, how is Fort Leonard basic training, and is it a lot harder in the winter? I'm more scared of the weather than anything. 88 Mike AIT. I went through Fort Knox, Kentucky during the winter months, and I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. But I'll put it to you this way: even though the cold sucks, you can do things to warm yourself up, but there's absolutely nothing you can do to cool yourself off. The summer is equally sucky, if that's even a word, than going into winter. It's just two different extremes. In the winter, you're subjected to potentially getting a cold weather injury, and in the summer, you're subjected to getting heat weather or heat related injuries. So I guess pick your poison, but you don't really get to choose when you ship out. It could be the earliest ship date or up to 3 or 4 months out. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. I would say you're better off going in the cooler months than you are in the summer. Because like I said, you can move around, you can work out, you can warm up, but you can't get yourself cool. Lost in the Woods wasn't that bad. Gyms are dope. Went back in 2009. Wasn't bad. And there's upgrades. What if you lost your job and you can't do the corporate? I need more context. I'm not sure exactly what it is that you're trying to say. Like, if you lost your job and you can't do the corporate world. Now, I don't know what to tell you, because as a civilian, like when you say corporate, do you mean like wearing a pinstripe suit, going into the office, working in a cubicle every day corporate, or like working for Best Buy? Because both of them are corporations, just different job titles and duties and pay. If you lose your job, you got to find another one. I guess a pro for being in the Army, like, you can mess up and you ain't gonna lose your job. On the civilian side, you mess up, you lose your job. Mess up like stuff minor, like showing up late and things of that nature. Like, you'll still get in trouble in the Army, but like, you got to do a lot to get discharged, right? But on the civilian side, maybe not so much. But yeah. Owen asks, are you still in the Army National Guard? Yes, I am still in the Army National Guard, still recruiting. And yeah, so stay tuned for a future video on what my plans are moving forward. Atheist Arise says, do they provide a psych eval? Yes. In my opinion, Army National Guard versus active, I got you. Here's a video just for you. Now, going to your first question, do they provide a psych eval? It's in your best interest to get a 1-2 hour consultation done on your own if your insurance covers it, or if you're willing to pay out of pocket for it, if it's not too much of a fee for you. But at the end of the day, MEPS will provide you a free medical, mental psychologist, mental health counseling. Now, with that being said, or consultation. So with that being said, though, it's probably going to be, it's going to take some time to get a MEPS. You're going to get disqualified at MEPS, and then it's going to take anywhere from a couple days to, based on my experience this fiscal year so far, it could take 3 months just to get the appointment, which the appointment could be like another month to 3 months later. So you're looking at close to 6 months. I mean, you still could have to do the consultation for MEPS, but the more medical evidence that you have to prove that you're otherwise good to go, the better your chances are of getting a medical waiver approved. Not required to do it on your own, but it does help. But MEPS will provide a free psych consultation, so you don't have to pay any money. And going to your next question, Army National Guard or active duty. Despite what JG said, active, like, he doesn't know you, I don't know you. And what I always say when you're deciding to go active or National Guard Reserve is you got, like, the video will do you justice. Go check it out, because there's pros and cons to everything. And there's nothing wrong with active duty. It's a phenomenal program. Definitely recommend it if that's what you want, for the right reasons. Not my reasons, not JG reasons, but your reasons. Do your homework, do your research, ask questions, sit down with a recruiter, talk to people that are currently or previously served on active duty or in the Guard, and make an informed decision on what you feel is best for you. And again, a recruiter like myself, we're going to sell you on the Guard. An active duty recruiter is going to sell you on active duty. JG sounds like he was from active duty, and his mindset is probably active. And although there are a lot of pros to going active, there are also a lot of cons. And it also depends on the individual, their mindset, their work ethic. There's so many different factors that should go into it. But I implore you to sit down with an active duty recruiter and a National Guard recruiter and make an informed decision what you feel is best for your reasons and your reasons alone. Not what JG says, not what I say, or what anyone else says. Take what, like, someone who previously served, like JG or even myself, take it with a grain of salt. We're sharing with you our opinions based on our experience. You don't know our work ethic, our mindset, the level of effort we put into our experience within the military, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And you don't know if we did things incorrectly and got into trouble or whatever. Like, there's people out there that are like minimalists, right? That's not my job. That's not my job. That's not my job. Like, bare minimum effort. And you got people who go out and go above and beyond of what is expected of them. And those are the ones that generally have the best experiences. So when you speak to somebody like JG or myself who've been in the military, you're going to get one of three responses. One is indifferent. They don't care one way or another and be like, yeah, if you want to do it, do it. And then you got people that had a bad experience or were lied to by the recruiter because they didn't do their due diligence and do their homework and research their decision-making process. And because they were sold on a specific expectation, and when they got there and that expectation wasn't met, guess what? They feel sour. They feel salty about it. And they're on here telling you not to go this way or not to go that way or not to go in at all. So that's why I say it's good to talk to people about their experience, but their experience is unique to them and how they were raised. Their life experiences also will dictate how they'll react to the military lifestyle. And I hope the best for you, but make your decision, not our decision. And I'm not sure what you mean by not Guard for college. Lydia says, is it possible for me to join the Navy? If you call a Navy recruiter, they'll ask you their pre-qualifying questions, and a Navy recruiter can tell you if you're qualified, and they'll let you. Calvin says, can you go to boot camp on prescription medications? The few, and I do mean a few, prescriptions that are authorized at time of enlistment that can be reissued to you at the training site and continue to take those prescriptions while at training and for the rest of your Army career as a new person coming in is birth control. If you are of the transgender individual, taking those types of prescriptions is authorized. And if you have hypothyroidism, hypo with an O, not hyper, hypothyroidism, those are a few that will be authorized. Anything other than that is I'm pretty confident that it's going to be 99.9% not authorized. Okay. Now, the standards for medication and diagnosis is after you complete all of your initial entry training is completely different. But as a person re-entering the military or a brand new person joining, those are the only three that are authorized. Okay. Carlos says, I ship out July 9th to the 09 Mike program. Any advice? Yes. Be coachable, be learnable. If that's even a word. Absorb everything. Do your best. Stay focused. Remember your why. Have a backup to your why and have another backup to the other two whys. Because there may be a moment where you question yourself on why you decided to join. 09 Mike program is going to give you a taste of what basic training is going to be like, but it's not going to be full HUA, like red phase basic training experience. You will be marching everywhere. You'll be working out every morning. You'll be doing everything that a normal trainee does at basic training while you're studying and losing weight and all that good stuff in the 09 Mike program, depending on which variant of that you went through or going through. But with that being said, just pay attention in class, ask questions, participate in classroom activities, study in the evening, study during the study halls. You're there to get MOS qualified or to continue your Army career, right? So do your best, like acclimate, absorb, right? Stay in the focus, stay in the now. And if you're feeling homesick or you're feeling stressed about something while you're there, the Army's going to give you resiliency training. Pay attention to those classes, practice what they preach, and I think that you'll be just fine. And I do have 2 videos for you to watch, and for anyone else who's about to leave for basic training or 09 Mike. What to prepare for basic training and what to pack for basic training. And you will go through reception. So I'm going to post that video as well. Just, from like 2020 to about 2023, we kind of had this like thing that happened. So I don't want to like get my video not deactivated, but like hindered because I said the 5-letter word. But the thing that rhymes with Rona, like Corona beer, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so check out that reception video. Just ignore the Rona references because that is no longer a thing, all right? Black Spade Enterprises, what is going on? After 10 months, finally got his waiver, shipping out to Fort Sill in October. This is 38-year-old is still on fire. That's what I'm talking about. I love success stories. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. I love it. I freaking love it. A Christian Awakening Church says, I am going into the Army Reserve as an E4 specialist, but want to commission as an officer, but I may not having a little issue. I have to get a waiver for medical to go back in the Army. All right, so if you have not signed your contract yet, then you're gonna go through the medical process. As long as your medical waiver gets approved, then you can go CS, as long as you're otherwise eligible for it. But check out my medical waiver guide with the insights and tips and tricks and all that good stuff. And good luck to you, and stay blessed. Joshua, I'll put it to you this way. This is going to be independent on the individual, because you and I could go through the same basic training platoon, have the same drill sergeants, and you and I could have two very different perceived experiences. For example, let's say you were raised in a big family and you're outgoing, you're social, you've experienced a lot, you've traveled, and you work out on a regular basis. And I, on the other hand, is introverted, sheltered, mama's boy, possibly mama's boobie still in the mouth kind of guy. And I'm very timid and I'm very shy. And I don't work out, pretty much play video games all day because I'm lazy AF, right? Because of your outgoing personality, working out every day, traveling, and having a big family and fighting a lot, you're probably going to be more mentally capable of adapting and completing training with your mature and personality type. Where with me, I don't work out, I'm shy, I'm timid, and I don't work out. So for me, it could be mentally and physically challenging, where physically it's probably and mentally but for me, it could be a hell of experience. So this is really gonna depend on you yourself and how you perceive it. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Al says, what are the tape requirements? I know we got a new email out recently about the tape, and I haven't read it yet, I'm not gonna lie, but it's gonna be going and moving to, at some point, the one tape measure. Basically from the belly button around. So before we did the neck and the waist for the fellas, and for the ladies, it was the widest part of your hips, the smallest part of your waist, and your neck. And now it's gonna be a one tape thing, and that's it. Alexis says, is there a better time of the year to increase your chances of enlistment if you know you have a medical disqualification from 10 plus years ago, prior service, by the way, but this new Genesis might catch it? Alexis, honestly, MEPS has nothing to do with the timing of the year and whether or not things get approved. Now, what could possibly work in your favor is after you've successfully completed everything at MEPS, and MEPS finally closes out your medical so that your recruiter can finally submit the waiver. So between now and the end of the fiscal year would be the best time to submit your medical waiver, because we're getting closer to the deadline of finishing our fiscal year. So for you civilians that don't know any better, how do I say this? We don't go by calendar year, January through December. We go from October through September. And it looks like my screen froze again, so I'm gonna come back here and hopefully I can find Nabil Arafe's question. So I'll come right back to you, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna refresh the page. All right, looks like I'm back. I'm like Slim Shady. I'm back. All right, so let me go. All right, I didn't lose all the comments or questions. All right, so Nabil, what does QOL look like for the Army versus the Air Force, and Army National Guard versus Air National Guard? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what QOL stands for. Are you talking about qualifications? Qual? Q-U-E-L? Yeah. Or Q-U-A-L? Qual? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what QOL is. Joshua says, basic training location is the most challenging in your opinion. We're going to talk about that. Quadir Wilson, if you're any OCS board tips. Yeah, they don't want to hear about money, power, or anything like that. They want to know what leadership qualities have you had in the past? What leadership qualities do you think that you have now? Why do you want to be an officer? What makes you think that you would be a good fit as an officer in the United States Army? What qualities do you have? And you should be able to articulate these. And honestly, the biggest tip I can give to you is just be confident. Be you, be yourself, act like you've been there before. Don't get nervous. You know, it's inevitable. You're going to get nervous. It's very competitive, but what they're really, in my opinion, what I think that they're really looking for is confidence. Your ability to be able to speak under pressure, because as an officer, you're in charge of millions, if not billions of dollars and personnel. And they want to know that you're confident and you'll be able to speak on your feet and things of that nature, if that makes sense. But don't talk about the money and the benefits. Don't do that. Carlos Acosta, I ship out in July. Any advice? Yes, I talked about that not too long ago. After going active duty, 68 whiskey, would it be better to push for Green Berets or the Ranger pipeline? I would talk to an active duty special forces recruiter and see what they say. For the most part, to my knowledge, when you're going into the service, you don't pick and choose to go to a Ranger regiment. And 9 out of 10 times, every request to go to the Ranger regiment are denied. So in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, and opinions are like assholes and everyone seems to have one, I say go special forces. And if that doesn't work out, then go Ranger. Who knows? Quick story. My soldier started in the Guard, did ROTC, commissioned into active duty, joined the Guard, got deployed to Afghanistan? No, I forgot where he got deployed to. Anyway, he got deployed and eventually did ROTC, commissioned into active duty. So he left the Guard to go active duty, and he was part of a field artillery battalion or whatever they call it. And he was trying out for special forces, and in between phases of the training, he overtrained and got rhabdo. And as a result, now he's in Delta Force is who recruited him. So now he doesn't even wear the OCPs. He's in like cargo pants, a polo shirt, and some other stuff, doing some high-speed stuff and things that he can't talk to me about because of NDAs and all that good stuff. So he's doing big things. But I would say start with special forces, and if you're good enough, maybe you'll get offered opportunities elsewhere. Requirements for officer: GT line score of 110 or better, qualify for secret clearance, 4-year degree, so on and so forth. And that's across the board. OCS is a set standard. I'll post a video for it, but it's a set standard, and it's not specific to a certain branch. Stay lifted. Good luck into the training. I hope all works well and that you do great things. Oh, and I knew what you meant. Peter Burrito says, how quickly can you get a sniper school after basic training, infantry training? I wouldn't even request to do anything sniper related until after you shoot expert consistently. And then if they don't seek you out, you seek them out. And now you have a track record of shooting expert. That's going to be one of their requirements for sure. Wolf Syndicate. Is it difficult for someone from the UK to join the Army? So difficult to move to the United States and obtain a green card? Yes, that's going to be painfully time consuming, but it can be done. Aside from that, it's not difficult at all. Nikira says you answered it. I didn't quite understand the difference. Oh shoot, not even sure what you asked. And something about tomorrow. I'm lost. Yeah, scroll all the way up. I don't see your previous comment, unfortunately. User says, so Nikira, if you want to refresh your, you answered my question on the 09 versus RSP. All right, so yeah, I'm not sure what I said to confuse you. The 09 mic program is designed for people that do not meet the height and weight requirements, or the body fat percentage rather, or they failed the ASVAB test but still scored a 16 or 21 and above. And that program allows you to join so that you can go through a program to earn full-time pay and benefits for anywhere from 3 weeks upwards to 90 days to get in compliance to meet the normal eligibility standards. And post the video tomorrow. Okay, I got you. And the recruit sustainment program is the National Guard's version of the Future Soldier program. So if you go regular Army or Army Reserve, they have the Future Soldier program where they do these weekly get-togethers to do PT, and it's really up to the Future Soldier leader if they do any additional training like map reading and things of that nature. The Recruit Sustainment Program in the National Guard is a mandatory program where all recruits are obligated to go to on a monthly basis, 1 weekend per month until they ship out, to do the occupational physical assessment test on Sunday morning, motivational PT or physical training on Sunday mornings, and classes on 10-level skills that you would learn in basic training, but more at a entry level, less than skill level 10 type familiarization. But I did do a video on the RSP if you want to watch that, coming into the chat box for you, Nikira, right now. And good luck to you. And yeah, I'll post my video probably tomorrow because I'm itching to drop it. User asks, why haven't you been active on social media, and can you be open about you wanting to leave the Army and unit trouble yet, etc.? Let me read that again. Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay, so user, at the beginning of the last stream, I explained why I was gone for about a month due to a unofficial investigation that was prompted by an anonymous complaint about my Instagram and YouTube channel. I'm going to post a dedicated video about this. It's just going to be like a short talking head piece dedicated to the why and what and stuff like that. And I'll probably give a life update to a video I said I was going to post within a couple of months of me posting the I Quit video last August. So yeah, so I'll drop that probably next week and we'll take it from there. But I'm going to refresh my page real quick and I'll come back to Joshua and we'll take it from there. All right, I'm back like Slim Shady. So let me scroll up and see if I can find something where I was rather. All right, so Joshua says, what is the process of going active guard reserve? I think you're asking for AGR, active guard reserve. The process is that I'll post a video I did about the full-time opportunities we have in the National Guard and Reserve. Some will be specific to the Guard, some are universal to Guard and Reserve, so definitely check out that video. But you have to apply to it, and the job listing will tell you what the requirements are. If you need BLC, Basic Leadership Course, if you need to be a specialist or a specialist promotable to sergeant, meaning that you've met all the requirements to get promoted to sergeant and can get promoted by completing your time in service and or time of grade. So sometimes you have to hold a grade, meaning your rank and pay grade for a specific amount of time. And Yeah, so as long as you meet that criteria, like you don't have to be MOS qualified for a particular opportunity. As long as you had the line scores or the credentials or ability to qualify for the job listing. Like for example, as a 79 Tango recruiting retention NCO like myself, when I applied, I was a specialist who was promotable to sergeant. Back in the day, we had PLDC, which is Primary Leadership Development Course, which is now the equivalent of today's BLC, Basic Leadership Course. So I had my first NCO, non-commissioned officer leadership course completed, and I had met the, I think it was like 18-month, 24-month period at the time and grade as a specialist E4 to then be promotable to sergeant. So when I applied to recruiting for 79 Tango, the requirements were at that time was a GT line score of a 110 or better, or your GT had to be over 100 and your ST had to be 110 or better to get a waiver to bypass that requirement. Again, you had to be a US citizen and qualify for a secret clearance. So that means they're going to look into your financial negative history, law violations, if you've ever had like substance abuse, child abuse, domestic abuse, stuff like that. And once they properly screen you, then you're good to go. But the process is you submit your packet with the required documentation, everything that they ask for as part of your application. And at least for the Guard, you go before like a hiring board, kind of like a board. I don't really, it's like the senior leadership are basically sitting behind the tables and they bounce questions off of you, first of all, to get you comfortable to speak and see your type of personality and know why you want to become a recruiter and so on and so forth. And if you're going for another job like a unit admin or human resources specialist or supply sergeant, it would be in your best interest to talk to someone in those positions to find out what regulations are around that MOS, what systems they use for that position, so that when they're going before the board, they have an idea of what they're about to get into for that job, and kind of like more or less, like you're not gonna need to know all the like the nitty gritty details and nuances of the job or anything, but if you know what the regulations and the systems and stuff like that, it shows that you went out of your way to learn about this position instead of just coming here because I want to make some money. But you have to apply for it. And the job description will tell you. So again, you don't have to have the MOS to apply for that position. If you are selected and you are hired for that position, they will pay and send you through that training to get that job skill or MOS under your belt. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Aiken Sony says, is the Army having a recruitment crisis right now? Yes and no. No, because they moved the goalpost. They reduced their total end strength goal by at least 10,000 recruits this year. So instead of recruiting 60,000, they lowered it to like 50,000, and they're still going to be falling short of that goal. But I want to say yes, because they're not meeting their end strength goals. Just to be straight up. Stay Left, it says, do you get BAH while in basic if you're married? So if you're married and you have a rental agreement, yes, and you'll get it at the dependent rate. And I talk about it in this video right here. Now, depending on who you talk to and if they're actually quoting the regulation or not, I haven't dug into the regulation or what. So things change over time. So I want to say yes, and you'll get it at the dependent rate. Our state does things a little bit differently. They add additional restrictions or expectations, like even though you're married, and if you go regular Army Reserve, they'll give it to you because you have dependents. But in at least our state for the National Guard, they want you to have a legitimate lease. And we go above and beyond and ask for a utility bill in your name for the same exact address that's on your lease that reflects the same address in Recruiter Zone, which is a software system we use to build applicants to join. But yeah, and the BAH calculator, I posted it earlier. I'll post it again here. But it's also in the description of that video as well. Yeah. Yeah, Sear says Friday it'd be more traffic. That's what I was thinking too. Tomorrow people will be watching this video, I think. Yeah, I don't think tomorrow people are going to dedicate 2 hours to listen and or watch the podcast, but I'm itching to drop it because It's, in my opinion, it's fire. I mean, that's biased, obviously, because it's my video, my podcast, but I thought it went really well. And I'm hoping that people will like it. Hunnit says, anybody... Okay, not for me. Oh, so good question. Aiken Sony asks, if I sign a 4-year contract, what is the extra 4 years in the reserve thing? So whether you're going regular Army, Reserve, or Guard, everyone incurs what we call the military service obligation of 8 years. So you owe the United States military 8 years. So you have your contractual obligation and you have your statutory obligation. If you sign for anything less than 8 years, your contractual obligation is going to be a 3x5, a 4x4, a 6x2, or an 8x0, all equating to a total of 8 years. So let's say, for example, you sign in your example, a 4-year contract. So for the next 4 years, you're agreeing to work full-time or part-time in the respective component of the Army or the military that you're joining for the next 4 years. That's your contractual obligation. You're agreeing to work full-time or part-time for that length of time. At the end of those 4 years, if you do not extend or re-enlist your contract to stay in longer, you're leaving the military and you no longer have a contractual obligation to work. However, you owe us 4 more years in your example. So those 4 years is your statutory obligation. So what that means is your information gets stored into a database called the IRR, or the Inactive Readiness Reserve. I refer to it as the holy shit callback list. So if this shit hits the fan and the Army, whether it's regular Army, Reserve, or Guard, needs your specific skill sets, they can pull you out of pull you out from the IRR and send you on a mission, whether it's in the States or overseas. Once your 8th year anniversary comes and passes, you no longer have a military service obligation, and the military, for the most part, cannot pull you back in. More on that in a future video, but once your 8 years is done, that's it. Now, for the last 4 years, if you do not stay in and you get out and you no longer work, once a year, you get paid for 4 hours to come in for a 15-minute update of your legal status. Married, divorced, ticketed, cited, jailed, medical issues, right? Any medical surgeries, they check your height and weight, and they just update your profile. And that's all you're required to do on an annual basis. From my understanding, most soldiers don't even do that. They just get out and they forget it. But that's what's supposed to happen. Now, with this whole draft thing, I'm not sure if you're paying attention to current events, but in the very near future, if it's not already written into law, males will be automatically registered for the draft, and females is on the heels of that as well, which I agree with. Equal opportunity, right? I'm all about equal opportunity. Hey, you want to go full hoo and equal opportunity all the way across the board? I'm all about it. I've been preaching about it, say, at least 3 years now. So I'm glad to see that females are going to be added to the draft, because it's the right thing to do. Anyway, one thing I recently learned is less than a year ago, the Army was talking about bringing people back who have retired, meaning they've completed 20 years of service. I thought that was wild. And I'm like, that conflicts with the 8-year service obligation. So the government, if they wanted to, can pull you out of retirement and put you back in boots. I don't get that. So I want to dig into it before I do a reaction video to that. But yeah, food for thought, you know? Who would have thunk? William Cortez says, the information you've provided all these years was instrumental in my choice to enlist in the California National Guard. I was even able to get an opportunity for OCS. I ship out for basic training at the end of July. Out friggin' standing. William Cortez, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the feedback, and good luck to you in basic training and OCS. I'm sure you're gonna do great things. User says, have you heard of the 155 AB something unit in Mississippi? No, I have not, unfortunately. Lydia, you're very welcome. Give me $5, man. I haven't seen you in a minute. Hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Evening, been a bit moved, but I am back now. Well, I'm back too, and I don't know if you know this, but I've been going for like a month. It's my first live stream in about a month. So, Aiken Sony's the 17 Alpha require a degree to enlist. 17 Alpha. I don't even know what that is. It's definitely not in my state. Oh, cyber warfare officer. Yeah, that's probably more than likely going to require some sort of IT or cyber degree for sure. And that's a 4-year degree at least. Morning from South Korea, coming from, hang on, let me scroll down so I can see the name, Z. All right, so this person says, I am on active duty, airman, meaning in the Air Force. I got picked up for 153 Alpha, OCS it looks like. I should be shipping off to basic in these next coming weeks. What should I expect as a prior service trainee? I got a video just for you. So if you're going through basic training, the video I'm posting now, I'm not sure if you're still here, Z, I hope you are. But that's what you're gonna expect at Army basic training. Now, if you're doing the Army Army integration course, AIC, Army integration course, it's a 5-week gentleman's course. And it's like basic training, but you're just doing the basic training requirements without all that rah-rah, drill sergeant, fuck games type stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you're still meeting all the basic training requirements, starting from basically BRM, basic rifle marksmanship, through graduation. You skip the red phase and all that BS. Andre Ade says, I made it to 11 Charlie for Cavazos. Thanks for the information info. Everyone out there, trust the process. Yeah, couldn't agree with that more. Nathan Flower says, thanks for your advice in your videos. I got a moral and medical waiver. Just waiting on OCS approval before enlistment. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Definitely keep me posted on your OCS approval. I'm excited for you. I'm super stoked. I hope it works out for you. So let me know what's what when it happens. All right. Appreciate you. Rated R718 says, can you take the ASVAB before you even start in the process of enlisting to see what MOS you qualify for? Yes and no. Yes, as in you can take the PICAT, but that's going to usually require you to sit down with a recruiter because you got to be registered from a recruiter. If you don't know what a PICAT is, I'll post it in the chat box right here. And that is called the PICAT video. So it's the full version ASVAB that you can take at home on your computer on either Edge or Chrome browser. Yeah, so. But usually you're gonna have to sit down with a recruiter, and they're the only ones that can register you for that. And that'll tell you what your line scores are and what your probability of passing the test. Just do yourself a favor and don't cheat. Don't use a calculator. Don't use Google, ChatGPT, or any other AI or assistance. All right. And keep it under 3 hours, just like you would at MEPS. And that'll give you a realistic expectation. And line scores generally don't change between the PICAT and the verification and or ASVAB test that you'll do at MEPS. And the video will make more sense of what I'm talking about. Matt says, looking into 35 Lima enlisted, curious on the secret clearance. Is that done before you leave? I qualify, just not that much info on the MOS. So they'll start the process of your background investigation and they will conclude it probably by the time you're in AIT. And if by chance that you complete your graduation requirements from AIT for 35 Lima, and they have not concluded your investigation, you will be considered a holdover until your clearance has been finalized. And as long as everything checks out and is cleared, then you will graduate or move on from there to your unit of assignment at the 35 Lima. But if for some reason it comes back and they do not approve you for a secret clearance or top secret clearance, you're gonna have to change your MOS and redo your AIT in a new MOS. So be prepared for that. FYI. Eber Eduardo Garcia Cirit says, can you substitute health insurance you get from 9-to-5 work with TRICARE while in the Army Reserve? Not sure what you mean by substitute, but it could be your primary source of insurance or it can be your secondary or tertiary coverage. If you have, let's say your job has a better package at whatever price and you just want TRICARE to make up the difference, I guess, if the other one doesn't cover all your costs, if that makes sense. And yes, you can do that. That's what I know people have done in the past. Hopefully that answers your question and that's what you meant. Bro Talk podcast says, I got one of my closest friends to join the National Guard, and he has sleep apnea, but I told him there are other who snore louder than him. LMAO. He can get a waiver. Sleep apnea, which was officially diagnosed, is 99.9999999% going to get him disqualified from service, because people receive disability on this for the rest of their life in the form of compensation because they acquired sleep apnea in service. So that is going to be a condition that is not going to be waiverable, unfortunately. Now, if he just snores loud and it's not diagnosed from a doctor, then he does not have sleep apnea. So do not self-diagnose unless you have a medical doctorate degree and you're practicing medicine, and you can diagnose yourself as a doctor. But if you're not a doctor, do not diagnose yourself. And hopefully it's not diagnosed, because if it is diagnosed and it's in your electronic medical records, he's going to be a no-go at this station. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You are a no-go at this station, unfortunately. No waivers authorized for sleep apnea. Barbos or Bat Boss Jose. Yes, I am Slim Shady. I'm back, just with no hair. Jason Perk says, I'm leaving in 11 days to the 09 Mike program. I scored a 30 on my ASVAB. How long should I be ready to retake the ASVAB? I'm also concerned about the 2-mile run. Trust me, don't worry about the 2-mile run. You have like practically almost 23 minutes to pass it, and you can practically walk that. Now, as far as the ASVAB is concerned, trust me, you'll be fine. You could be there for as little as 3 weeks, which is when you'll take your first attempt. But you could be there for up to 90 days. Most people pass by the first test, and I think you'll be fine. Air Charlie says, what do you think about the SMP program? I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Bro Talk also says, also Joshua. Carbonite Flux says, why does 11 Bravo get a bad rep? It's not that infantry gets a bad rep. It's just it takes a unique mindset and physical capabilities to do infantry. Now, just because you might not be the biggest, strongest person now doesn't mean that you won't be a stronger, more having the endurance level to do infantry stuff, because it is physically taxing. Like, you'll be carrying upwards to 100 plus pounds on your back while doing infantry, and maybe even more than that if you do 11 Charlie. But with that being said, you can physically train for that. But it's more of a mindset thing, and depending on your age when joining is going to be a deciding factor. Like, just because I'm a recruiter doesn't mean that just because you want infantry, I'm going to give it to you. Like, depending on your personality and some other factors, like, I'm probably going to strongly encourage you to choose a different career path, because 11 Bravo takes a unique mindset, and it's going to be mentally and physically challenging. Like, it's not for the weak, and I'm not saying that you're weak if you don't go that way or what have you. I'm just saying that it's a rough life. It's not for everybody. Quality of life, kind of like when Bill and Sarah says. Yeah, character development. Lots of character development. Let's put it that way. Character development. All right, so we got Jen Raspberry here with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the hashtag. Jan Teal 7'1", lost 92 pounds, 7 inches, and my ASVAB working with my sergeant to get into the 09 Mike program, weighing in 3 weeks. Impatient, but doing it after 09 Mike program. Hopefully 92 golf and 12 tango, following you, chaos, and go army. Hell freaking yeah. She is putting in the freaking work. I love it. 92, what? That's like a whole person right there. That is freaking, oh my God, Jen, I gotta know what your secrets are. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. That, you just made my night, Jen. You just made my night. That's awesome. Like, props to you. True story, and we'll be posting in a future video, but I recently paid a health coach $3,800 to get me back to a skinny bitch. Kid you not. Me, like I had, all right, so I'll be honest with you, like a little sneak peek rather. I went through a lot of character development last year. I'll put it that way. Between professional and personal issues I was dealing with last year. I let myself go. Then I injured myself for the second time in August, and I just confirmed it recently through a CT scan for an unrelated issue with my gut, that my L4, L5 is out of whack, and I re-injured myself again about a month ago. But yeah, I let myself go. But the $3,800 wasn't as much on like the know-how to lose weight. It was more or less having an accountability partner. And I'm actually creating an online course for recruiters to recruit on YouTube, basically teaching my skills that I've learned, self-taught and everything. But that's not why I'm saying that. I could have just as easily found some personal trainer selling like cookie cutter workouts and a nutrition thing for like $50 a month. I could have done that, but I needed a legitimate accountability partner because I've been procrastinating a lot. I've been lazy a lot. I've been making a lot of excuses based on everything that happened last year. And finally, enough got enough. And I knew that if I just paid some, even if it was like $500 or less, that's not enough skin in the game for me to stick the program out, if that makes sense, right? The risk factor. Like I just put $3,800 into this program and I'm like 10 weeks into the program. I've already lost like 12 pounds and without like fad diets, crash diets, fast diets, like legitimately doing it the right way. And I feel amazing. It's just, I wish I could work out more than I am. But for me, having $3,800 on the line, like that's a lot of freaking money. And I'm not about to throw that away. Like I'll throw away a couple $100. Like a couple $100 don't mean nothing to me. But having $3,800, like I am more than willing to do what I need to do and follow the plan to the T and to stay more consistent because of that. And it looks like you're getting assistance through your sergeant and you lost 92 pounds on your own. 7 inches. That's freaking phenomenal. And I'm super stoked and happy for you, Jane. You just made my night. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. And I think that's awesome. I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole, but yeah. Dylan Paget says, "Hi, Sergeant First Class. I'm just Lewis here. But with that said, currently a staff sergeant serving on active duty with 6 years time in service. I'm aware it varies from state to state, but I'm looking into the Alabama National Guard after this contract. How likely is it that I'll get an AGR recruiter slot?" I would probably say it's pretty high. If they're anything like New York, we're constantly looking for recruiters. In fact, we host a board for recruiters on a monthly basis here in New York. My company alone, we have like 48 to 56 recruiters. And we just hired a couple more yesterday, but they won't go into effect until October because there's a hiring freeze at the moment. But yeah, I think it's pretty high. But once you for sure put in your packet, let me know. I'll send you a study guide of information that you're definitely going to want to know when going through that board. Especially coming from active duty, it will impress them that you know this stuff. I got you. And stay tuned to my channel because I'm going to be teaching recruiters how to recruit. Gurpreet Singh, is there any chances that Mavni program could come back again? We've been asking for that since this recruiting crisis. They say no, but never say never. Sunday says, currently a sergeant serving in the reserve, but would like to go CS or warrant. Do you think I can get waivers for age and which one is better? I like those two. What is your advice? From my understanding, waivers for OCS rarely get approved. I think you'll have a better chance of getting a waiver for warrant. If regular Army or Reserve don't approve your waiver, try the National Guard. Again, this is going to be state specific. I know that our warrant officer recruiter at the time was like dropping all kinds of waivers. He pretty much said to me at one point, probably because we were critically low on them at the time too, but he was like, I can't waive the GT line score and I can't waive the US citizenship. Everything else I can waive. So you never know unless you try. Can you join the military high cholesterol? Unfortunately, no. You're gonna have to have normal readings and probably be stable for at least 3 to 6 months of stability with normal cholesterol levels. iDabDab says, is it true that they are going to stop cannabis testing for all initial enlisting? I hope that's true. I suggested that during, I want to say last November or the November before? Whenever I did it, within a year and a half ago, I suggested that they get rid of testing for cannabis, or they could test for it, but even if you fail, have some sort of clause or addendum stating that they identified that they tested negative for all drugs and alcohol with the exception of cannabis or THC, and that in the future moving forward THC is going to be still a prohibited substance, and you will refrain from using it for the duration of your Army career, and that you will be retested again by the conclusion of basic training. And then at the conclusion of basic training, which would be over 60 days, so as long as you stay clean the entire time, you're going to test clean. And then as long as you test clean, moving forward, you follow the normal protocol of randomly being selected to take a drug test throughout your career. And as long as you live a normal career with no positive test results for THC or any other drugs, then you can continue your service. Especially with a lot of states making THC legal, but until it becomes federally legal, it is always going to be illegal for us. But I agree with you. Whether or not that comes true, I hope so, even though I can't stand the smell of it because it's all over New York City. But yeah. Jen says, apologies, questions. Can letters of recommendation help when trying to join or rank up? Going in at 35 years old, hopefully July 16th, 92 golf, 12 tango, bad and most choices. 12 tango, let's see what that is. What I think it is, it'd be a good one, especially if you want a top secret clearance. Technical engineer. Let's see. Here we go. Army technical engineer, and that requires. Of course, I can't see it right now. They revamped the website. Hang on. I'll have to go to. Oh, hang on. Maybe it's up here. Okay, no, it doesn't require a clearance. If you want to go, I would say 12 tango over 92 golf. Although I will probably say that career progression is probably gonna be easier as a culinary specialist, as a cook, because a lot of people are lazy and fat as a 92 golf. So as long as you can stay fit, you'll outdo most of your competition just for being in shape. Conversely with 12 tango, but there's nothing wrong with either one. But yeah, I mean, those are just my 2 cents. Jose says, what if you own a house and have a mortgage and go to basic BAH? Yes, you'll get housing allowance because you have a house. I'm sorry, I don't know who Anthony is, or I got 2 questions back to back. He probably posted them back to back. But I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about. Z, you're very welcome. What do I do if a recruit is suicidal? I'm going to make sure that they're all right and get them to seek help that they need. That's what I would do. I would stay with them until I get them help. Oh, and great job on the ASVAB. That's awesome. $143 says, I'm leaving in 8 days for 15 Papa, which is in aviation. I don't know what Fort Navajo is like at all, let alone aviation. AMT, any ideas? I have no idea, but aviation is going to be information dense. So make sure that you are going to bed on time. Stay off your phone. Pay attention in class. Take notes. Read your notes. And if you can, reread the parts of the regulation that you cover for the day of the training. And study on the weekends too. Like, enjoy your weekends, but at least for an hour on both Saturday and Sunday, make sure you're rereading your notes and covering what you did the week before. And again, just make sure you're sleeping and pay attention to class. That's the biggest thing. I'm gonna redo the screen. Hang on one second. That froze again. All right, I am back. Let's see where I last left off. Trying to figure out where I last left off. Where was I at? Okay, I'm getting close. Here we go. Lil Casino says, if a local officer recruiter is hard to get a hold of, should I try to contact one further away from where I live? Yeah, be a go-getter. Go to whoever answers their damn phone. Someone's either on vacation or not doing their job. Galen says, 27 Mike in the process of joining the California National Guard, got temporarily disqualified for a bad ingrown toenail. Oh, that's easy to recover from now. Looking for 25 Bravo or 88 Mike maybe? Oh, got an 88 and he has qualified for every job. That's what I'm talking about. If you can, I would definitely go 35 series if you have the choice. That'll give you far more opportunities outside of the Army. Big Shot Rob says, when you pass the ASVAB, do you have to immediately take the physical test or is it after boot camp? So when you pass the ASVAB test, you do have to complete a medical exam, not a physical fitness test. After you sign your contract, there is a physical fitness test you got to take called the OPAT, the Occupational Physical Assessment Test, to make sure that you can, or you have the physical capabilities to perform the duties of your MOS that you're about to go through training for. All right. Jen says, thank you so much from CC, Texas. Have a gym PT and I have a gym, personal trainer, and 360 lifestyle change. That's what I'm talking about. Calorie deficit and tons of water and cardio with a mix of the Texas. Oh, that Texas heat will get you. Hopefully this next week weigh in, I'll make it. That's what I'm talking about. That's freaking awesome. Thanks for sharing. Aiken Sony says, so 17 Charlie is the only MOS I can straight enlist into without a degree. Yes. You were on IDAB. Not sure what that is. And Aiken Sony says, 17 Charlie only said around West I can. Yes. Jaden Contreras says, what location is BAH calculator from? So when you're going to basic training, it's based on, so if you're going guard or reserve, it's going to be on your home of record. If you're going active duty and you have a family back at home, it will be your home of record currently But once you get to your permanent duty station, it's going to switch over to that zip code from there, if that makes sense. Having trouble with H trap. What's an H trap? You mean H rap, as in Hometown Recruiting Assistant Program? All right, you got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. All right. Prior service Marine, currently a Fed. You want to commission in the National Guard. I'm also at 80% of VA. Is it feasible? Also, welcome back. Thank you so much for welcoming me back. Unfortunately, I got some bad news for you. 30% disability is the maximum allowable percentage in VA disability that one can have when trying to come back into service. You can check out the Army Reserve, because I was told that they can get waivers, but the problem is you got to get past MEPS. You have to be deployable. And if you get approved, then you're going to have to get your pay adjusted so that at the end of the year, you're not paying back overpayment of your benefits, if that makes sense. Furthermore, I also don't want you to reduce your rating from 80% down to 30% with the hopes to get back into service, because the last thing I want is for you to reduce or eliminate your VA rating just to get denied, and now you have a lower VA rating and you're denied service and you're left with whatever you're left with. So to me, it's not worth it. Stay at 80%, try to go reserve. If they accept you, great. If not, unfortunately, the ship has sailed. Any suggestions on 31 Bravo? Not sure what you mean by any suggestions. Like, do I suggest that you go that route if you want to be a police officer in the military and you're otherwise eligible for it and that makes you happy? Absolutely. But I'm not sure what you mean by any suggestions. Gurpreet, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. With that being said, oops, hang on. There we go. So, why is... Oh. You're very welcome, SD Junior 1775. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I love you guys. Got a lot of positive feedback from coming back. Appreciate you. I'll see you next week for sure. Get in here, get early, get in your comments. I'd be more than happy to help you out. If you got any other questions, you can comment them down below beneath the video, not in the chat box, but beneath the video. Go ahead and comment your question. I'll get you within the next 24 hours. If not, you know where to find me on Instagram at Team Swartz, Facebook, same thing, Team Swartz. I got you, say less. Or you can email me at Team Swartz Media. And with that being said, stay blessed, be good, stay frosty, and I'll see you next week. Deuces.